I can to get paid. That was what I was on the search for in the beginning of my career. How can I make this like roofing, where I can just be thoughtless and just do that activity and be highly productive? So for me, once I got in, I had a really fortunate situation where there was an agent that really helped me in the beginning. His name was Scott Myrick. And he really helped me learn the business in terms of how to find property owners, what kind of postcards and letters to send, what to say to them, how to find their phone numbers. See, back then, there was no social media. There was no Zillow. There was no dialers. There was no easy way to find phone numbers. Now you can just boop, boop, boop. You can do things 10 times faster in today's world than you could when I was coming up. 10 times faster. Quick story, a student of mine, Quintavious Burdett, he just finished his first year in the business, did 100 deals his very first year. He's in Mississippi, he did $500,000 GCI, 20 million in volume. Okay, first year. Now nobody does that, right? He's an exception to the rule. But what I want you to understand about what he did is he took my coaching program, which is everything that's in here on a piece of paper for you to execute. He took that and he executed it. The plan is Ricky, if Ricky were a brand new agent in today's world. The Ricky of 2002, but in 2020. And in 2020, the 2020 Ricky does things 10 times faster because of technology. So he followed it to a T, and he fast forwarded his career 10 times faster. He compressed what it took me 10 years to do into 1 year. So think about it. For me to get to 100 deals, I had to do it the old school way. I say old school. It's probably a lot new school to a lot of people, but it's even newer school now. But you can compress. The damage that you can do today is so incredible. So I go back roofing. It took me 8 months to make my first sale because I was roofing and doing real estate on the side. 8 months. In today's market, we're still seeing agents take 3 to 6 months to do their first deal, sometimes even up to a year. It's still the same in terms of that, how long it takes people to get going, because the learning curve is so sharp in real estate. So I make my first deal. I start selling to a month. This is 2003. I start selling to a month. And within a couple years, the market explodes, prices double overnight, and I become basically an overnight millionaire. And I'm 23 years old. Not understanding what was going on. I didn't understand the real market. I didn't understand real estate. I didn't understand money. I didn't understand anything. And because of that, when the market crashed, long story short, without getting into all the details, I literally lost everything. I tried to hang on as long as I could. I tried everything I could do. But in the end, I lost it all. And literally had no house, no car. One of my friends gave me their car. It was this beat up Ford that didn't even have a symbol on it. You couldn't open the door. You had to get in the other door. It had a boombox in the back seat so I could listen to music. The brake lights didn't work. It was wild. And I was riding this car with no insurance. I don't think I had a tag. Windows didn't work. AC didn't work. I could go on and on about that car. But that car got me through. I needed that car, and I was sleeping on friends' couches. Sleeping on friends' couches, slept in that car a couple times, went back to roofing houses. I can't get away from it. So I'm roofing houses. This is 2007. All year 2007 roofed houses. See, 2005 was when our market started to dip. A lot of people think just 2008, 2008. That's when the stock market crashed. But the stock market was actually kind of a delay from the real estate market. The real estate started to decline long before that. 2005, it started to decline in my area. That's when I slowly started losing everything. Okay? By 2008, listen, 2007, I'm back on a roof. 2008, 2006, I'm back on the roof. 2007, I'm working on an oil rig. I found a job in Mississippi on an oil rig. No bills. The only bills I had during that time was my cell phone and my real estate license. I kept my license active, an MLS, and a cell phone. That's it. And I was roofing houses and serving tables at night, just working. You know, take my job from me. I'll go find 2 more. Here's another thing. If you watch my life, you'll notice that I'm always doing 2 things. Every job I had, I always had another job where I was looking for another job to add to it. Another thing Dad did. Dad said, never quit a job, just add to it. He also told me, the behinder I get, the hurrieder I go, the behinder I get. Sometimes you got to slow down and take a close look at what's going on. That's why I like to have a 30-minute meeting with myself every day in the morning before I get going. I sit down, no distractions, no emails, no notifications. I sit down with my schedule, everything I did yesterday, everything I have going on, all my prospects, all my appointments, and I sit and I study it and I make a list. A very efficient list where I can go, where once I'm done with this meeting, I can go boom, 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 and completely crush everything I see. So I think taking time for yourself, also in the evenings, okay, I think you should make this list, have a meeting with your assistant, make sure she's on the same page with he or she, right? Make sure they are on the right page in terms of what you both need to do together to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and then start executing what's on that list. And then at 3 or 4 o'clock, we're going to turn around and have another meeting with ourselves to evaluate where we are at that point in the day so that we don't miss any very important things that need to happen before 5 o'clock. You might have had to email somebody or call somebody back or do this or do that. And you told them you would do it before the end of the day. We have to get those things done so that at 5 o'clock, when we go home, we can feel good about what we did. We know we didn't forget anything, and now we can turn our mind off from real estate for the rest of the evening. See, this is where you burn out. This is where you start feeling down on yourself, is when you don't do what I'm saying. You go home worried, did I forget something? What was that one thing I was supposed to do? You think about it all night, you go to sleep thinking about it, and the next day you're mentally drained. So you got to take time for yourself in the mornings, I believe, study your business. Take a little bit of time in the afternoon to make sure you're on track to get everything done that was mandatory. And then in the evenings, completely shut your mind off. This will recharge you for the next day and have you ready to go. To compete, I think of it as competing at a high level. So once I made all that money, self-made millionaire at 23, lost everything, went back to roofing, working on an oil rig, I decided to read 100 books. I was like, I'm going to read 100 books. Because I was so curious of why I failed. And this gets into the thesis here of what I wanted to talk about today. How to handle a market crash. Why did Ricky lose everything in the crash? Yeah, I'm the most honest, hardworking, dependable, professional person that I know. Why did I lose everything and sleep in my car a couple nights? You know, why are these other agents still succeeding? Why? I thought, I'm going to read. I read book after book after book after book. Favorite book ever, The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson. Only book I ever read twice. It'll change your entire life. Kind of like The Compound Effect, but Jeff Olson showed Darren Hardy what's up. Another book you all need to read, Shift by Gary Keller. It will really put the market cycle into real perspective for you. And you will understand how to handle certain situations that you might be scared of now. So in 2008, I got laid off from the oil rig. We got a new president, not going to mention his name, in 2008. Some things happened in the oil industry, got laid off. And I was forced back into real estate. And I had already been dabbling because guess what? In 2008, when I was on that oil rig and I was working every other week, coming home for a week, going to the rig for a week, coming home, I looked on MLS and I noticed an agent really crushing it. He was still, everybody else was getting out of the business and he was still crushing it. And guess what his name was? Scott Myrick, the same guy that mentored me in the very beginning. And I went back to him, I called him. Hadn't talked to him in years. I called him and I said, man, what are you doing? You closed 30 deals last year. In 2006 or 7, you closed 30 deals. 2006, 30 deals. That was amazing at the time. Our market was completely dead. He said, come over to the house. I'll show you what I'm doing. So in the beginning of my career, remember he showed me how to do postcards, how to look up numbers, how to call people, what to say, all that kind of stuff. So I go over to his house. We sit down. He pulls his computer. We start talking and everything. And guess what he showed me? How to do postcards, how to do letters, how to look up numbers, what to say. It was all the same exact stuff, right? So I said, okay, cool. So I started doing it. And by the time I was still in the oil rig, and then by the time I got laid off, do I say oil weird? Huh? Yeah, oil. I worked on an oil rig. Oil. It's oil. Oil la volée. I started to do the things I needed to do. And by 2008, I had a little momentum already. Some clients I was talking to, some positive things were happening. So I decided I was going to go all in. I remember getting laid off from the oil rig, and I closed on a few properties within about 40 days after that, which was amazing. This is after like a 4-year drought of no sales. And you guys don't know the feeling of losing everything, going homeless, thinking you'll never sell property again, don't know where your life's going, and then to close on a couple properties, knowing that seeing a light at the end of the day. I can never explain that feeling. But I do remember I had to borrow $500 from my dad the week before because I burned all the money I saved from the oil rig. Oil. And I had to borrow a little money from him to make it to those closings, and then I was off to the races. Okay? Now, what switched for me? What really happened? Okay? There was something in one of those books. The combination of something, maybe shift. The combination of something in that book and the fact I was watching MLS the whole time, trying to figure this thing out. And I realized that a lot of my clients that were buying in 03, 4, and 5 were still buying in 6, 7, 8. They were still selling and buying in 6, 7, 8, the same people, just with different agents. And something clicked and I thought, wait a minute. The market's crashed. Closings continued to happen. Scott sold 30 properties. If I would have maintained the relationships with those people, then I would have continued to represent them buying and selling properties at the bottom. They were selling bad assets and buying good assets. So then something made me say, wait a minute, because I was only looking at new listings and sales, and something made me go back and look at the entire market over the last 2 or 3 years through the crash. And you know what I realized? Closings happened every single day. And every closing represents 2 opportunities, a buyer and a seller. So you take the number of closings, you multiply it by 2, and that's how many opportunities that an agent had that day. That day. We're just looking for 1 or 2 sales a month. There are closings happening every day that represent 2 parties. The opportunities, guys, are endless, regardless of the market. Transactions may go down, but think about it like this. The industry is this big. And you are a dot. You're not even a dot in the industry. It's so massive. Let's say it goes down 50%. You're still a dot in a massive industry. I want you to realize that business is 100 million% unlimited for every single agent. That's what I realized. And that there are an unlimited amount of loyal clients for every single agent. Loyal meaning that they'll never ever use another agent ever again in their life. Only you. You got your loyal clients, you got your semi-loyal clients, you got your, people that, use a bunch of different agents, and then you got the people that, well, you know what I'm saying. Let's just talk about loyal, right? Sure, you're going to have all these other clients. They may switch around. Let's just talk about loyal. There's an unlimited amount of those clients for every single agent. The problem is you haven't put the work in to get out there and find them. You're not talking to enough people. Your job as an agent is to take the population, talk to every single one of them, filter that list down to the people that want to do business with you, that like your personality, that want to work with you. That's it. So, and let's talk about market share for a second, because when I think about unlimitedness of business, okay, when I think about business of a real estate agent, I'm not thinking about transactions, the amount of transactions, the amount of listings, the pending deals, withdrawals, expire. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm thinking about what is the possibilities of how many relationships that I can create with people in the market.